All right, we are outside at the chicken run, and I thought this would just be a good time to run through my low maintenance chicken setup. So right now you can see the girls are out and they are scratching up some dirt, taking a little dust bath right now, and let's start the tour. So starting with the coop, you can see I have this coop here with these shutters that can be removed by sliding that guy. Oh, scared the chickens. And that will keep them nice and cool in the summer, and it also prevents a draft in the winter. So, most important part about this coop setup, you can see this litter is really deep. It has this recessed bottom in this custom built coop. And what that does is it allows me to keep putting more and more litter in here, as the stuff at the very bottom will kind of compost into little crumbly dust. I don't have too many chickens, so it takes a long time. You can kind of get an idea there. And this is totally clean. It does not smell. And the litter I use is just some recycled shredded cardboard. And I will take out some of this litter. I'll clean out about half of it, maybe once a year, because I don't have too many birds. I only have 3 right now. And I only need to clean the coop really once a year. And besides that, I don't need to do anything else. And all 3 birds are broody right now, so I came at a good time where they're out of the coop. But usually they're sitting in these nesting boxes with more of that shredded cardboard litter, but they can't use it right now because I'm all out of cardboard, and they keep on scratching their litter out of their nest boxes. So for the rest of the coop design, you can see the roof is raised off just a little bit. It's enough so air can get through, but not so much that predators can crawl up in between the roof. And I have another little ventilation spot at the top here, and you can see I did put fencing over it, just like right here, so no critters can break in, because raccoons will break into your coop. So this is nice and predator proof. And with the roof raised up, the nice thing about that is that you get a breeze coming through the coop, and it does not go on top of the birds where they sit and roost right here. It goes above them so they don't get wind chill at night, and it makes them much more comfortable. And I have a little solar powered door, which isn't really necessary because I have this little enclosure where the chickens can come and go as they want. I buried fencing underneath. It is all predator proof, but it's still just a last extra safety measure, and it keeps them a bit warmer. And I have a little hand rake in here too. I use that to stir up the litter, and it works pretty good. One extra note too with the deep litter method is I have all of this kind of bathroom flooring. I got a cheap roll of linoleum flooring at Home Depot, and that just prevents any extra moisture that may build at the bottom from eventually rotting out the bottom of your coop. So that is pretty important. And in this case, it seems like it's staying pretty dry, but it may change depending on your climate and how many chickens you have. And just to give you an idea, I think this bottom part is maybe like 5 to 8 inches deep, depending on where you count it. And that gives you plenty of space to let the stuff on the bottom decompose. The new litter comes in, and it works really well. And if this setup ever does get smelly, all you really need to do is to maybe rake it up and mix in that poop so it will dry out with all the cardboard. But usually that could be a sign that you have too many birds in your setup. And if we go over here, you can see I have their nesting boxes with these 2 latches. What that does is it stops raccoons from figuring out how to open this. They do have thumbs, and they can get into a lot of little things they shouldn't be able to. I have a hook right here, keep this open, so real quick I can just reach in, grab my eggs, check on the chickens as I need to while they're safe and sound. And on the bottom here, you can see I use hardware cloth, and I think right here something maybe was even trying to get in. But this hardware cloth, it's nice and thick. Raccoons cannot rip this, so you don't want to use normal chicken wire. And you can see that this is also black, and that makes it so light does not reflect off of this, and it's much easier to see through if you make the mistake of having some metal wire that's exposed and not coated, like I do have on the other side there. You can see it's not quite as nice, and it is harder to look through. But sadly, the guy who built this ran out of materials. So here for the feeder, you can see it connects to the outside of this setup. I have these little PVC pipes. Usually they're in a candy cane shape, but this is the shape we ended up with, where you fill in the feed from here and it goes and is gravity fed down at the bottom. So as they eat it, more of it comes on out, and I don't need to go into their dirty chicken run to go and refill that. And I have a similar setup with the water over here. You see I have a big rain barrel, and this is nice because it holds a ton of water before I need to refill it. But you can also see there is a gutter right here that collects all of that rainwater, has a little tube, and it goes in here. So I don't need to really replace their water at all in the winter until it's freezing. Then I do need to come out daily. But otherwise, that water barrel is just attached to these little chicken nipples in this PVC pipe. And they just peck at these little nipples and water comes out. It seems to give them a little extra stimulation compared to having a normal water cup, and it's a lot harder for them to make messy. And now I'm scaring them during their nice bath, and they're going back inside to be broody. And I have some roosts in here. The chickens seem to really like to just hang out on these roosts in the morning, I think because they catch the sun at this angle. And yeah, I have some pieces of wood I put down here. I'll move them around sometimes just to get the chickens all stimulated, but really it's just a little hangout spot. And you see the bottom of this run, I'm doing something very similar to the deep litter method. You can see I do have some fencing buried there so predators can't dig in, but the chickens will also stir all of this up by scratching and pecking around all day, and that is essentially turning compost. So I have lots of weeds I put in here, and I feed to them all their food. They're big giant chicken poops from being broody, but they will mix this in themselves, and then I'll just come through with a little shovel maybe a couple times a year and just shovel out a wheelbarrow or two of all of this wood chip mulch that I have. I also use shredded cardboard out here, even though you don't see much right now. And the extra benefit too of the food setup I have with these little food crumbles, you can see I have Bantam chickens, so they have a harder time eating big chicken pellets. But these crumbles will all settle down in the dust right over here. This is a covered run, you can see. So this stays nice and dry, and the chickens, just as I started recording, we're taking a dust bath right here, and it works great, so I don't need to add any extra dust to their setup. Here, I have a Run Chicken solar powered door. From my research, these were the best when it comes to design, making sure your chickens don't get trapped in here, having easy to set up options, even a solar panel to keep it charged with just indirect light. I love this thing. It was like $100, but I do think it is money well spent, and it is also a great company to support. In here, just another look at the little feeders. You can see they're gravity fed, just like the water. They go down there, and with my, well, 3 Bantam chickens, I would say this lasts me about a month with both of these filled up. And I did plan on getting more, but I haven't gotten to that quite yet. But this makes it way easier. So I can fill these up. The chickens are good for a few weeks or even a month. Their water is all good there. They have a rain barrel if I ever am not getting any rain during the summer, so I can just fill it up quickly. And I don't need to clean much out here because I have that deep litter set up. I'll clean it out occasionally, add some fresh litter or mulch, and that is it. Chickens have their dust bath right there. It's really everything they need. Another really smart design tip here is I had this about 2.5 feet tall, raised off the ground. That makes it so the chickens get a spot where they can have shade and they can hide, but also I can get under here and clean this. A raised chicken coop is really smart to help protect them from predators and to stop moisture from getting trapped in there. But at the same time, you really don't want to give your chickens a little spot to hide from you. So making this nice and raised is a huge, huge win if you want to have an easy setup. And I think that may be about it. I'll just go through one last time, show you everything. Nice little closed off run here with the nice solar powered door, which is optional if your run is enclosed. Buried fencing. I have these little patio bricks out here that also make it more dig proof, but I mostly just have that to stop mud from building up. Rain barrel, gutter, polycarbonate roofing just to keep the chickens dry so they can go outside when it's still rainy. I have these little shutters you can put on and off. Let me see if I can do this with one hand. Am I gonna get get lucky. And maybe not. There we go. Sweet. And now, they don't need this extra ventilation, but it is nice if you do want to create a draft in the summer. Then nesting box, that's predator proof. Same with that door that also has a latch on it. Hook to hold this open while you harvest everything. And you can see all these happy broody chickens hanging out, loving their coop. And one extra little thing, you want to make sure that when you have a roof on your nesting box, it goes past everything on each corner, so it does not drip inside. And if you are going to use nails and things like that to secure it, you want to make sure you have that with washers so it is nice and waterproofed. All right, that is my low maintenance chicken setup. I only need to really come out and take care of them once every 2 or 3 weeks. I could get as far as maybe even 2 or 3 months if I had more feeders, but I like to still see my chickens, so I don't want to automate everything too much. All right, that is my setup. Hope you enjoyed the video.